just when you think the Clippers had an easy win to get on Sunday, they had what I thought was definitely their worst loss of the season. And is it a little bit scary that I keep saying that every week? Going to be talking about it all on today's Locked On Crisis Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You are locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA and in my 19th season as a Clipper fan. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod and subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper content. A video of my experience at Sunday's Catastrophe will be up on Sunday, including my immediate reaction following the game. Will be up on Monday, including my immediate reaction following the game. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Hit the notification bell so you know every single time we post a video, and comment anything on this one. I mean, this is a safe space, Clipper Nation. Go at the team as hard as you want. I mean, I'm all ears. I will be reading the comments because what is going on? This episode, by the way, is brought to you by LinkedIn. There's no better place to get hired or hire than LinkedIn. Just post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. Okay. I was at the game. The first quarter felt like, okay, the Hawks have started making shots before we start making shots. By the way, the sprained ankles of Terrence Mann and Norman Powell. The update on that is Norman Powell didn't play. Terrence Mann did play. We got James Harden back for this game. And there were so many things wrong. I don't even know what we did right. Going into the game, we're playing against the Hawks team. No Trae Young. No Sadiq Bey. I mean, it should have been a blowout. It should have been a blowout. And it was funny. One of my boys sitting next to me in 207 was saying, I think we're going to play with our food. And that's exactly what we did to start the game. And it was that classic story of you take a team lightly, you let them get confidence, shooting the ball, and now you're in trouble. And the thing is, the Hawks have been playing better defense the last couple of weeks. Trae Young's been out. That can help the defense. Now you have DeJounte Murray playing the one. And yeah, he doesn't, from what I've heard, he has not been playing as good a defense as he did with San Antonio. But Trae Young, I've heard he improved defensively this year, but he is still, I think there's a good chance your team could get better defensively without him. And then they also have nothing to lose offensively, so it's not really, obviously DeJounte Murray kind of carried offensively in terms of the ball handling duties and stuff like that, but it was a pretty balanced attack. They had Jalen Johnson with 18 points. Clint Capella had 15 points. And by the way, Johnson and Capella each had a double-double. Bogdanovich had 11. DeJounte Murray had 21 to lead the Hawks. And then DeAndre Hunter had 20 off the bench. Wesley Matthews hit 2 threes. Garrison Matthews hit 2 threes. It just felt like they were raining. They shot 49% from the field and 50 from 3. And then the Clippers shot 38% from the field and 31 from 3. So we shot 17 more free throws, by the way. But moral of the story, I could just say, look, the Hawks made everything. They had a great shooting night, and the Clippers had a terrible shooting night. It's nothing more than that. But how many times have I said that? How many times have I on this podcast this season made an excuse and said, oh, it's just a one-off game. People should not overreact. We're still this seed. Well, you know what I felt in that arena on Sunday night? We can't get the top 3 seed anymore. I don't think we're going to be able to do it. And you know what I've said all season about not getting a top 3 seed? We needed to win. I don't care what your argument is in the comment section of what you say. Oh, what if the Nuggets get the 2 seed and we avoid them till the conference? We're not going to win it all, in my opinion. If I'm wrong, I'm going to be the happiest person ever to be wrong. We'll be celebrating together at Figueroa talking about how wrong I was. or wherever the parade's going to be. I don't think we're going to have one this year. Top 3 seed. That's what history tells us, and I just don't believe that this team, for 2 reasons. One, the pessimist in me seeing the Clippers and being a Clipper fan and thinking we're not going to be the team that makes history and joins the 69 Celtics and 95 Rockets as the only 2 teams to win below a 3 seed. Then just my eyes are telling me we are nowhere near championship level right now. We peaked in December and January. We peaked after the when we were on that Grammy trip. And we beat Boston, and we beat Miami, we beat Atlanta. I guess that's when we were peaking. Because when we came back, starting with that loss to New Orleans, we've been horrible. We've been horrible. We're 8-10 in our last 18 games. And I want to say it's a lack of effort. It's playing with your food. It's unseriousness. It's not injuries, really. We've had Kawhi and Harden and Paul for the whole year, really. Yeah, we haven't had Westbrook, and I think we've missed his intensity a lot the last couple of weeks. You know, even when he's playing like ass, Russell Westbrook still adds a level of, oh, this game means something to the game. Especially at home games, he really adds to the ambiance of the crowd. They just felt dead. They gave us nothing to cheer about, and they're lucky they didn't get booed. I was trying to get the boos going, but again, I'm sitting in an all Clipper fan section, and a lot of that is booing their own team is sacrilegious. But they deserve to get booed. What kind of effort is that? First quarter, we lost 31-29. Second and third quarter, we didn't even score 20 points in either. 15 in the second, 18 in the third. And I had somebody on Twitter comment to me, our offense is not the problem. Everything is a problem. We don't rebound. We don't defend well enough at the point of attack. We don't defend well enough in the interior. We don't play good enough pick and roll defense. We don't play good enough one-on-one defense. We're constantly helping and rotating. And then offensively, we're very stagnant. Our stars are inconsistent outside of Kawhi. James Harden, I'm going to get into him more, but he hasn't looked great, I should say. He's had some good games. He hasn't looked great in weeks. Paul George, the last 3 games, he's starting to come together, but even he settled way too much in the second half for threes all game. It's because, again, what was that game the other day? In Chicago, he's making everything, and I said it on the pod. I said, that's not sustainable. Some nights he'll shoot like that, but if you want to keep shooting step-back threes, you're going to have those cold shooting nights. And in this game, he shot 5 for 8 from 2, 4 for 12 from 3, 9 for 20 in the game overall. So he shot 45%, which isn't terrible. It's about his average. But he shot 33% from 3 because 12 out of his 20 shots were threes, and a lot of them were not even wide open in the flow of the offense. They were one-on-one, force, him chucking. So, and you know, the fact that he shot more shots than Kawhi, even though Kawhi was the one who had 17 points in the first quarter. That was the thing. Kawhi had 17 points in the first quarter. He was really carrying us, but Atlanta was just off to a good start, and I was fully convinced that was just they're making shots before we're making shots. You know, Capella was hedging on Harden and Paul, but dropping on Kawhi. And I felt like with those coverages, we were going to be able to get some good shots. But I will say the length and size of guys like DeJounte Murray, DeAndre Hunter, Jalen Johnson, Bruno Fernando on that back line, that was kind of solid, affecting us. But, I mean, defensively, we just could not get stops. We got nothing going in transition because we could not get stops. Paul George got a couple of steals, but throughout the game, I just don't think our defense was good enough. It felt like the Hawks got a good look every time down, and they don't have Trae Young. I mean, just the fact that we let them score 31 points in the first quarter, it's more than just they're making shots first. They should never, with that team, be scoring 31 points in the first quarter. And in the second quarter, we didn't have 2-1-3 for a stretch. Both of them were out at the same time. And that Harden-led lineup without Norman Powell and no Russ was horrific. We couldn't score for a while. And throughout the game, our transition defense, I talked about it against New Orleans, not great. And you know what that comes down to a lot of it? Either effort or your team is tired. And I think personally, we were a great team to start the season. We have not load managed the same way this year. I think we really have put in more of an effort this year. And Kawhi said it's between the ears, it's mental and this and that. You know what? He's been saying that for a couple of weeks. And Ty Lue keeps saying the same things for a couple of weeks. I think I'm starting to see it, and I've seen it every game. We're old. We're too slow. We've relied on these 8 or 9 guys all season, but the regular season, it just took too much of a toll on them in a very good West. Maybe we'll revive enough to push for a conference finals berth. But I think anything past that is a stretch at this point. And I know this pod is going to hurt some people's, and you don't have to agree with me. Just because I, Darian Vaziri, dime drop or whatever, says that as a Clipper fan for 19 years and I don't think we're going to win the chip this year means nothing. Means nothing. You know, I've been wrong about a ton of things on this show as your host. I could be wrong about that. And remember, it's every time I lose hope, we start to do well. It's funny. The second I said I was wrong about Harden and this and that, and oh man, like look where we're at. We're the number 1 seed. It's surreal. That's when it all started falling apart. I should have stuck with my gut and not get too excited all year because look at this. Oh, that's exactly why deep down I didn't. I kept saying, you know, don't get too excited on this show, but I'm not going to lie. And you're going to think I'm capping with this, but I'm being dead serious. Internally, I was having a real struggle all year. I wasn't coming home from games with the same joy that I always have my whole time as a Clipper fan, my whole life. And I would come on here, and as the host of this show, you know, I want to promote the positivity. And when things are going well, of course I'm happy. But deep down, I was so skeptical because of James Harden. But I know a lot of people would think you should be skeptical of Paul George as well. And I am to a degree. But that was my whole thing with Harden and Westbrook initially. It's like you're bringing in two guys that have questionable playoff histories at the final hurdle. This is not about they never play well in the playoffs because that's not true. James Harden and Westbrook have had historically good playoff games. But it's about the final hurdle, and it's about people understanding how hard it is to win a championship. And that's why the top 3 seeds win, because they show it all season, and durability matters. And I love that these guys have been healthy. But it just shows that the total of the regular season might have been too much. We have 16 games left. We need to start playing better. And even if we do, can we beat Denver 4 times out of 7? Because they're starting to peak at the right time. I don't know. Going to be talking about our defense and more coming up. I got to tell you a little something about LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. I got one of my the Rams ambassador job on LinkedIn. I haven't tried to hire on LinkedIn yet, but I found a job, so I think you will be able to hire very easily the right candidates for you on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. It gives you access to professionals you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all that while making the process easy and intuitive. LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process easier. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process even easier and quicker. All you got to do is post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. As you know, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel, Locked On Sports Today. Baseball fans, mark your calendars for March 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for the best MLB season preview coming exclusively to Locked On Sports Today. On March 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, be the first to get local insight from the MLB local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network. Find it on March 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. All right, Clippers losing this one 110-93. We got outscored 30-15 in the second quarter, 27-18 in the third quarter, and we outscored them 31-22 in the fourth. There was some garbage time in there, but there actually was a level of, okay, if we're going to make a run, we're going to have to make it now for the Clippers, and we cut it down to, I think, 14 or 12. But it was always a fake run. I mean, when you were down by as many as 29 at home to the Hawks, like, the role players outside of Paul George and Kawhi didn't play very well. I mean, Zubats, he offered little to no resistance. He had 6 points and 6 boards, and 4 of them were offensive. So 2 defensive rebounds in 23 minutes. No good. His pick and roll defense and drop coverage was nothing special. And we went small to try something new at the end. And PJ Tucker got a lot of minutes again, 21 minutes. We're starting to use him more, and I thought his defense was excellent, actually. But offensively, not good at all. He made his only 3, but it's just like he doesn't offer much of anything. He's not an on-ball guy. He doesn't shoot the ball quickly with conviction. when he's open, and they leave him open constantly. When teams are doubling off of Kawhi, because they started to do that more, because he had 17 points in the first, they start double teaming Kawhi, and then when you have Zoo and PJ, it becomes easier for the defense to rotate, because PJ's not even willing to shoot it. He'll catch the ball when he's open and look to get into a dribble handoff like Draymond does. If you notice, Draymond's left open a lot, right? So what happens is he catches the ball. Now his defender reacts. He now puts Steph Curry with him in the action to get a little dribble handoff. And who usually guards the guy who's coming off a screen when who usually guards the guy that's coming off a screen? The guy who's guarding the screener, right? Helps for a second based on what your scheme is, or switches, whatever it may be. If the guy that's guarding the screener is 5 feet sagged off, when Steph comes off that screen, he's walking into a wide open jumper. So that's how the Warriors countered Draymond Green being left open. PJ Tucker tries to do the same thing, but he's got no roll gravity. He has nothing on the roll, and he can't he can't catch the ball and put the ball on the floor and make a quick read off the bounce like Draymond Green. So it becomes nothing. And when teams double and leave him open, we don't get much out of it. And makes everything harder, even when Harden gets to the basket, because there were some times where Harden got by, Forrest or Krejci or Capella in this game, or Fernando. He got by some of the weaker matchups, and he drew a second defender, and he did get 9 assists in this game, James Harden. But there were times where they sagged off of either Zoo or PJ, and they took away what could have been a good look. So my thing is with PJ Tucker, I see that he's shown that he can play D, and he's starting to make some threes. I still don't think he belongs in the rotation on our team when we're trying to win a chip, when everyone's healthy. We missed Norm massively today, and Russ. I absolutely agree. But they missed Trae Young. There's no excuse. 0. Our defense was terrible. Let's talk about it. Point of attack. I've said it all season. I love Terrence Mann. He cannot be your best point of attack defender on a championship team. He just can't. Earlier in the season, we saw Kawhi and Paul George taking a lot of the best players for larger stretches. They have not been doing that anymore. And I think it's to preserve their legs. Again, transition defense, getting beat on the boards, all this stuff. It goes back to that we're old to me. It feels like we're getting outworked every game. And I don't think it's because they don't care. I think they know it's their last. Like for Kawhi and Paul George, this is year 5. But we just struggle to convert when Kawhi gets double teamed. That's a consistent thing. I think, and a lot of it is, guys not attacking closeouts, not shooting without hesitation. Terrence, Amir, by the way, he just had a rough one in this game. 1 for 6 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3, 2 points, 5 rebounds. Bones Highland was horrific. I mean, just terrible. 2 points and 5 turnovers on 0 for 4 shooting. All his shots were threes in 11 minutes. He was just a nightmare in this game. And I just think, no excuse. You need to be better. We did not get anything from our role guys. Tyson Plumlee, we did the same thing where we had Tyson the first half, Plumlee in the second. Tyson played 7 minutes, offered nothing. And Mason Plumlee played 7 minutes and offered 5 points and 2 rebounds on 1 for 2 shooting in the second half. Tyson was 0 for 2. It's just a brick fest. Kawhi Leonard really had 17 points in the first quarter, and then he had 11 the rest of the game. It's just not enough. He needs to shoot more. But, I mean, Terrence Mann, he was 2 for 6, but one of them was a grenade at the end of the shot clock he had no chance of making. But 2 for 5 then, 1 for 2 from 3, 7 points, 4 boards, 2 steals. He wasn't very good. He was whatever. It's just there was no defensive resistance. And I think partially it was because they didn't have a main guy to go to. Yes, DeJounte Murray to a degree, but it was kind of a committee beating us by committee. And again, that's what can happen sometimes when you don't have your best player. There's no egos, no ball dominant guy. Everyone's moving the ball, and it becomes, can you guard NBA players without fouling? If you can't, now you see why it's so hard to play modern defense, because there's so much space. It's so hard to cover all that space with all the shooting personnel. So when we play pick and roll defense and we don't have switch everything personnel, Zubac usually does a great job in drop coverage, and our point of attack guys aren't horrific. Well, our point of attack wasn't good. Our rim protection wasn't good, and helping the helper being Zoo, was nowhere to be found. The rotations were poor, and the Hawks were hitting. You're gonna concede the 3 when you're gonna concede something when you're not switching pick and rolls. We're conceding the 3. They were making the 3, but our offense is such a problem. It's so slow. And then James Harden. I mean, do I want to get into you know what? I'm going to wait on that. But moral of the story, our defense is not good enough, and it hasn't looked good in weeks. We can't have Kawhi and Paul George just guard the best players every night, can they? They're too old. They do too much on offense, too. But they might have to but you know what we need if that happens? James Harden to play better. And coming up, going to be talking about that. I got to tell you a little something about Stitch Fix. You know that instant confidence boost you get from an outfit that makes you look really good? That's what I get with Stitch Fix. Easily upgrade your wardrobe this year with a professional stylist that helps you find new on-trend favorites that will work for you. My stylist always sends just right pieces and the fit is on point. It's like they have style ESP. I don't know how they do it, but they just get me. And if you don't love something, just send it back. Shipping, returns, and exchanges are always free. Style that makes you feel as good as you look. Get started today at stitchfix.com/lockedon. That's stitchfix.com/lockedon. stitchfix.com/lockedon. All right, Clippers losing this one 110-93. Kawhi Leonard ended up finishing with 28 points to lead all scorers, but 2 rebounds. That's not enough. 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 3 turnovers. So we had more turnovers than assists. 8 for 17 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, 9 for 10 from the line. Again, 8 threes out of 17 shots. I don't know if I love that from Kawhi. Just not aggressive enough, in my opinion, in the second half. I know you got doubled some, but let me just check how many shots he took in the second half. 4. I mean, again, second straight game I've said it. We got to be better about converting when he gets doubled, but second straight game I've said it with Kawhi. If this team is going to crap the bed next to him, he needs to go out swinging. It can't be like the bubble. It can't. Paul George, 26 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 4 steals, and a block. I thought he was actually better defensively than some others. 9 for 20 from the field, 4 for 12 from 3, 4 for 4 from the line in 35 minutes. My thing with Paul, too many threes. Too many threes. And then Zubats, I just thought was really poor. He has been, I'm not going to lie, actually. I'm going to say it. He's been awful since the illness. Since the injury, really. He hasn't fully returned to being great since the injury. And we have to have him playing at his best to win. Or else we got to look to make him a backup next year. Or trade him. Seriously. And I haven't gone that far with Zoo, have I? Terrence Mann needs to be better defensively. Honestly, both ends of the floor. Straight up, if we're going to win the chip. Nothing else needs to be said. PJ Tucker, I admire what he's doing right now. And when we're fully healthy, he shouldn't play. Bones Highland, same kind of deal. With this team, he shouldn't, but he's got to be a little better. I prefer Tice over Plumlee, but they both look old right now. They're both not nearly as good as Isaiah Hartenstein, which was, again, a huge blunder we made going back to last summer, trying to fiend a point guard with John Wall and letting go of what was a quality backup that some argued was even better than Zoo. Amir Coffey just didn't have a good game. I'm not worried about him. James Harden. I was really harsh on him in that Minnesota game. But for the most part, I haven't dedicated segments to him not being good enough. But I've done it for Paul. I just don't know what to say. Every time I speak out about this, I get called a hater because everybody knows how I felt about Harden before we got him. And I apologized when I saw us get the 1 seed. I said, you know what? I was wrong about James Harden. Even if we choke in the playoffs, we needed him because we would have never even been in a top 3 conversation or a championship conversation without him. Maybe he comes good. You're starting to see it right now in front of your eyes, what you saw the last couple of seasons. The wear and tear of the season. He gets a little injury or something. He looks tired. He looks slower. He's not beating good defenders off the bounce anymore. He got by some whack defenders. He's having much worse shooting games. His defense has not been the same as it was those first couple of months. For about the last 2 months, I would say, give or take. He got some strips towards the end. I know 1 steal, 1 block. He has not been creating the same advantages for us. And the way he slows down offensive possessions, I mean, he takes too long to do everything for my liking, for my taste. He might still get you a good shot at the end of the possession. It's too long that he takes too long. There are times where Amir Coffey was streaking up the court in transition, running the floor, and he just wouldn't pass to him. There was a time where he got swung the ball. He was wide open when I think Kawhi had gotten doubled, and he didn't make the extra swing, and instead he doesn't make the extra swing, doesn't take the open shot, and goes into one-on-one and we don't end up getting a good shot. Like, I have zero faith in him come playoff time. Zero. And before I said, well, I crushed him in the first round because technically James Harden hasn't been eliminated in the first round since 2016. And for all those wondering, what about Paul? He's questionable in the playoffs. The last time I saw Paul in the playoffs, he made history for us. Was it without flaws? No, he missed those free throws against Phoenix. I remember. He didn't have as much pressure when Kawhi had gone out. It kind of felt like, well, if the Clippers do this, that's overachieving. But if they lose, no one's going to blame anyone. And he balled. But I don't. That what I just said is BS. Paul George had all the weight of the world on his shoulders after the way he choked in the bubble and the slander he received, and he played amazing the last time we saw him in the playoffs. Point blank. So he deserves the benefit of the doubt from me. If he messes up this season, okay, we can have those conversations. But I don't trust Harden at all. He has not looked good for a couple of weeks. He's had some good games, but he has not looked good consistently. I'm not going to say anything else. I never believed that a team with this guy could win the championship. I just don't think it's going to all align for him. Does that mean that he's the reason we're not going to win and that's it? Absolutely not. So please don't twist my words like that. But we have 16 games left and I have zero faith in him. Zero. And I don't care. Even if they start balling, Paul, Kawhi, Harden, we get to the conference finals. That would be amazing and I'd enjoy it. I'm still going to support the boys every step of the way. But winning the whole thing. Honestly, getting out of the West. Because if we get out of the West, that means we would have beaten Denver potentially. I think we should win the whole thing at that point. Because anybody that, let's say we don't even play Denver, someone else beats them. If we beat whoever beat Denver, that's enough in itself. And honestly, just winning 3 series in this West this year is going to be insane. Whoever does it really is going to deserve it. But with performances like this, pathetic, James Harden had 0 points for a minute. It's funny he ended with 9. How many of those were in the fourth quarter? In our last-ditch fake comeback. All 9. He had 0 points through 3 quarters. He shot 3 for 10 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, so he actually didn't end up shooting that bad from 3. 9 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists, 1 block, 1 steal, and 3 turnovers. He was horrendous, and his defense was bad. Just like, we have to overcompensate for him on defense a lot recently, and it's just, I'm not going to lie to you guys. Like, tonight was the night where I was like, you know what? Just stop lying. I'm just going to stop lying to myself. I just don't think we're going to win it. We can still go far. I still think we can make a run and pull it together, even regardless of seeding. Having a healthy Kawhi makes things happen. I think having a healthy Kawhi is just going to be an experience for all of us. Having a healthy Kawhi in the playoffs for the first time since 2021, having that home crowd, and hopefully it's game 1 of the playoffs, but now I'm starting to be nervous. We might not even have home court. Having Kawhi healthy, knock on wood, that'll still be an experience. But winning the whole thing, I just don't think we're showing tendencies. I think the seeding is too low. I may get a lot of hate in these comments. Don't lose the faith, Darian, this and that. I'm not going to lie to myself. And I've been doing that for a couple of months, honestly, since we got James Harden. When we went on that stretch, everybody was taking victory laps in December and January. I even admitted I was wrong. And the second I admitted I was wrong, now the inevitable is happening, where it looks like James Harden looks tired. And the rest of our team looks tired. We're old. I don't even know what to say. That was disgraceful. And if it's effort, and you know what, and then they bounce back next game against, well, we're playing Portland next. We better win. But it's like, let me see you beat a good team again. Let me see you beat a good team again. Let me see you get 3 wins in a row again. We have 16 games left. So, by the way, now we're 42-25. So we'd have to go 15-0 to tie our best finish ever, 14-1 to tie our second best finish ever. At this point, we may not even get 50 wins. We'll see. We better beat Portland. That's all I have to say. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper and LA sports content. Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Comment anything. By the way, let me see. I'm just going to look at my notes to see if I forgot anything. Clint started dropping on Harden, by the way, later in the game, and DeJounte Murray was locking him up. Murray started hedging and recovering on Kawhi, by the way. They weren't fully switching that action all the time. But yeah, Harden couldn't make a shot, floater or 3. When Wes Matthews started hitting 3s, he went down 14. There were some times where Harden got to the basket, he had no lift at the rim. Kawhi went cold in the second. I want to see what his field goal percentage was in the second quarter. 1 for 4. Yeah, it was tough after the first quarter where he was so good. Jesus. Just a rough one. And the Clippers attempted 2 shots in the paint in the third quarter. Made 1 of them. So, could not get to the basket. And that goes, again, our age. We just don't get downhill enough. But yeah, we tried to switch 1 through 5 in the fourth. Cut it down to like 14. Just wasn't enough. But let me know what you think in the comments, guys. The age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers. Win or lose, we still support the guys.